This is not the classic type of thing to talk about here in Mechina, but it is a fundamentally important idea, and it's the type of thing that serves many purposes, okay? This is one of my favorite ideas to talk about. Now, here's the thing. I have to give you 5 introductions to this topic, okay? That's how important it is. Now, introductions people usually are bored with. They skip the introductions, but there's a reason that they're there. And the reason for the introduction is called pre-framing in psychology, which means that if you're prepared to hear an idea properly, when the idea comes, you're ready for it and you can receive it. If you're not prepared for it properly, good luck understanding it. Good luck receiving it. Good luck understanding it. Right? Good luck getting the idea. Good luck internalizing it and using it. A very famous man once said, the secret to success is for a person to be prepared for his opportunity when it comes. If you're not prepared for that opportunity when it comes, good luck. What I'd like to tell you about is the following. 5 quick introductions. First thing is the following. I'm going to tell you something so incredible you're not going to believe me. You're not going to believe Rabbi Altman. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know where you're getting this from. I'll show you where I'm getting it from. It's not my idea. It's so incredible you're not going to believe me. That's number 1. Second thing is, it's so easy to do this that it's hard. Because it's so prevalent. I'm doing it about 6, 7 different ways as we speak. Not that hard. Okay? But it's so easy to do it in so many ways that you can tend to be a little bit overwhelmed. So don't be. Please be normal. Take it very slow. Easily, in a way that you don't feel overwhelmed. Very important, like everything else. Do not do the classic example of a person who decides to go to the gym and they spend 2 hours at the gym the first day and then they can't move for about 6 or 7 days afterwards, right? You know that feeling? Can't move my arms, my legs, I can't breathe. It hurts to think, right? All the above. Now, third, sometimes you hear a topic. I do not believe this is going to be the topic this time, but sometimes it happens that you hear a topic and you have what I call the anesthesia effect. Did anyone ever have general anesthesia? Yeah. What happens when you have it? What happens when you have it? They tell you count down backwards from 100. 199. You never make it. You just feel a wave overcomes you. Next
thing you know, you wake up and like you're just like, what happened?
Next thing you know, you wake up and it's 2 hours later, an hour and a half later, or 20 minutes later, whatever it is. He said, wow, did they do anything? Yeah, they finished. They did whatever they had to do. It's over. Yeah, you hear beep, beep, beep. You're coming out of the recovery, right? So sometimes you hear a topic. And the topic can be, in your mind, such a boring topic. Do you think to yourself, and you check out? Please do not do that. You have to fight the anesthesia feeling because it's not what you think. Okay, so in case you think it's something like that, you can be aware that's not the case at all. You with me? Good. The other thing is, you're going to say, Rabbi Altman, if this is true, how come we've never heard of this before? Everyone should hear about this. Very few people actually realize it. And the answer is, because the best place to hide something is where? In plain sight, right out in the open. There are things that are hidden in front of our eyes that we never see. Famous old phrase they say, you can see more walking down a street one time than driving down a street for 20 years. I can tell you that's for sure the case. Yeah? I've walked many times to Harnoff, and I've also taken buses many times. You see much more when you walk, because it's slow and you're deliberate. Now I'm going to tell you something. You see things hidden right out in the open. It's out in the open, but you don't see it. I want to give you an example of this. 2 examples. First example is from it's a mashal, it's a metaphor, it's not a true story. An old man is driving his car, trying to see over, right? And he's driving, suddenly has a heart attack, chas v'shalom, and pulls off to the side of the road, he's about to die, and a bunch of people stop to help him. So they say, what can we do? He said, it's too late for me, I know I'm going to die, I've reached my age, I'm 119 and a half, it's over for me now, right? Nothing I can do about it. So what happens to him? They say, well, where are you in such a rush? You're driving so quickly. They said, well, I was on the way to a certain park, and in that park was a hidden treasure. And I'm going to get it. Where's the hidden treasure? It's underneath a giant W. The guy dies. Nothing they can do to help him. They take off to the park to find the giant W. Everyone's looking, where is it? Where is it? Like X marks the spot. So everyone's looking for the floor. Where is the W? Do they see it anywhere? No, no one sees it. Suddenly, after a period of time, this old man who's also looking for it sits back in his car and he goes, ah. And he opens his eyes and he says, I know where the W is. A little kid sitting next to him says, where is it? Where is it? He says, no, sit back like me. So he sits back and he sees 4 palm trees, one like this, one like this, one like this, and one like that. Giant 50-foot high palm trees, an enormous W. All the people are running past the W's like little ants. They don't even see it. One guy finally realizes, he runs around, turns around, and he sees the W. Suddenly, like the light shines on his brain. And he realizes, oh, that's the W, right? People don't see it because it's hidden out in the open. It's too obvious. One example. Another example. This is a very simple example. This is just from logic. If you ask religious people, what is the number one biggest topic in the Torah, written in the Torah, in the Bible? The number one biggest topic. In other words, that takes up the biggest space. Not necessarily the most important. Could be it is, could be it's not. But what's the one topic? Now, you don't have to know the answer to that question. But the fact is, since it's such an important question, where it's clearly the topic that takes the most space, because it's so important, you think everyone would know the answer. Anyone who spent any time studying that would know right away. Ask people. Ask people. They'll tell you, I don't know, is it this, going out of Egypt, maybe the creation of the world? No, it's none of that. Yeah? The answer doesn't matter right now. Not our topic right now. Yeah? But the point is like this. It's hidden out in the open and people don't realize it. Now, let's get into our topic. There's a Mishnah. It's part of the Talmud. Part of the Gemara. Yeah? Part of the Talmud. And there's one line. Now, I want to tell you the line. I'm going to write the line in Hebrew, but I'm going to tell you the line. There's a very simple, straightforward explanation to this line, which I don't want to talk about. And then there's the interesting thing, which we're going to talk about today. Okay? So just hold on. If you feel the anesthesia effect, it's like, that's the big deal, Rabbi. That's what's so inspiring. You're not going to believe it? Yeah, this is it. So just wait. You ready? Here it goes. It's a Mishnah. It's a statement following. It's just one phrase. The phrase says, V'kol ma'asecha, and all of your deeds, yiyu, let them be, l'shem shamayim. And all of your actions, your deeds, let them be for the sake of heaven. Well, that sounds boring, doesn't it? And all your deeds, let them be for the sake of heaven. The simple meaning of this is straightforward, which I don't want to talk about, is before you decide to do something, decide, does God want me to do this? Yes, then do it. Does God not want me to do it? No, then I don't do it. That's the simple meaning. But that's not what I want to talk about. Here's just what's amazing about this. Now, in English, let's just look at the English words, and I'll show you how it applies in the Hebrew also. In English, would you say all of your actions, let them be for the sake of heaven? Is that a normal way to speak? All of your actions, let them be for the sake of heaven. All of your actions, let them be for Hashem, for God. Is that the way to say it? Or would you say, let all your actions be for the God? The second way, right? Let all your actions be for God. That's the normal way to say it, right? You got with me? This is the hardest part of this class. The rest is very easy. Yeah? You say, let all your actions be for God. You don't say, all your actions, let them be for God. It's a way of speaking, but it's not the clear way to say it. If you wrote this in your English composition class, they would tell you, I'm sorry, it's not the proper sentence structure, maybe unless you're doing it, right? So it's strange. Here it says, all of your deeds, skip the ands right now, all of your actions, let them be for the sake of heaven. In Hebrew, it's kol ma'asecha. All of your deeds, which means they already exist, give them a spin that you're doing them for God. You're already doing these things. Turn it into, you know what, God, I'm doing it for you now. It's not what we thought, that decide before you do something whether God wants you to do it and do it. If not, don't. That's true, but that's not this Mishnah. This Mishnah says, take all the things you're already doing and give them a spin. You know what, I'm doing it for you. Now, what does that mean? It means even mundane, everyday things that you do, everyday mundane things that you do, if they help you in some way to serve God better, then you can say, I'm doing it for you, God. Example. We're all sitting in a class now, except for me, right? Some of us, right? Almost all of us, right? Yeah, we're sitting in a class now. Why do you sit down during learning? Why do you sit down in class? So you can focus, right? The truth is, this is a trick question if you know any Ivrit. Yeshiva, which is where people spend time learning Torah, so why is yeshiva called yeshiva? The word yeshiva means, because they sit, right? So it didn't used to be called, it was always called yeshiva, but they didn't used to sit, they used to stand. Why? Because the best way to learn is when your body is active. You're moving around, you're like, in a small position, kind of quiet, right? Relaxed, If you're actively, let's take this, let's learn this. When people want to memorize things, they often don't just sit down. They move around, they say it over a bunch of times, right? They verbalize, they gesticulate with their hands, right? Fancy words, right? They move around, talk with their hands. Now, here's the thing. If you sit down, you have much more energy and you can focus. If you had to stand 8-10 hours a day, you wouldn't be able to function, right? B'li Hara, thank God my wife and I have 11 children. Yeah, shocking. Yeah? Yes, the youngest one is about 3 months now, thank God, and the oldest one is 20. Now, it's amazing. Yeah, I'm also amazed, right? So listen to this. If you sit down during the day and you say, I can do anything at all to serve God better because I'm sitting now, you can turn your sitting into a mitzvah. If you say, God, I'm sitting because I can serve you better. Because if I didn't sit all day, what would happen? If I stood all day long, my feet would be killing me. Every time my wife gives birth, I'm helping out in the house, I'm running back and forth. My feet are killing me. I'm running this way and that way. I can't function, right? All I want to do is put my feet up. And it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I wish I was joking. I really wish I was, yeah? It's amazing, yeah? So listen to this. If you sit down, you say, I'm sitting down, you say these words, L'shem Shamayim. I'm sitting down for the sake of heaven. Which means I can serve you better, God, if I sit down now. Then that sitting down is considered an actual mitzvah. It's considered service of God.
So L'shem means sitting?
L'shem means for the sake of, and Shamayim means heaven, for the sake of heaven. This phrase here, for the sake of heaven. So if you do all your actions, let them say, God, I'm doing it for you. Now listen, it doesn't work for sins. So I say, listen, I really want to steal that thing. I would really be able to serve you better if I had another $50,000 right now. So you walk into a bank and you say, listen, can you please hand me over that $50,000? That doesn't work. It doesn't work for sins. For Averas, it doesn't work, right? But for everything else, it does. Even mundane activities. Now, here's what's amazing. Let's say that the year is only 300 days instead of 365. Just for math purposes, for round purposes, yeah? The year is only 300 days, not 365. Now, we're going to divide up the actions that you do into two types of actions. There's all kinds of ways to divide it. This is just a way of speaking, okay? Some actions you do, you measure by the number of times you do it. For example, sound familiar? Yeah? No? For example, you brush your teeth. You don't say, I brushed my teeth for 15 minutes. You can if you want. But you say, I brushed my teeth twice, 3 times, 4 times, right? That's what you say, right? So there's things, there are numbers. You view it as numbers of times you did it. So let's say numbers of mitzvahs, of mitzvahs that you do to serve God, right? Mitzvot, mitzvahs, right? And other things are based on time, right? So let's say hours of service of God. Right? Now, watch this. For example, sleep. You don't say I slept 3 times. You can if you want, but you usually say I slept 6 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours. You base it on time. Now, let's say there's 300 days in the year. Let's go through a bunch of different things that you do now. If you turn them into L'shem Shamayim, which means you do that for the sake of God because you can function better. Your interactions with people will be better. You'll be more alert, more friendly. If you don't sleep, it's hard to be friendly. If you don't eat, it's hard to be friendly, right? You'll do a better job interacting with people, which is, if you interact with people, God says, that's exactly what I want. I want positive interactions with people. Or any other mitzvah that you do during the day or during the week. If you function better, your whole life will, that's considered a mitzvah if you do it L'shem Shamayim. Does this make sense? Everybody understand what I'm saying now? Yeah? Let's go through a bunch of things now. Now, I want to be really safe in these numbers. Eating. How many times a day do you eat something? In seminary, they always say 3, 2, 1. Yeah, yeshiva, it's like 8, 50, 100. Yeah, it's the opposite, right? It's usually the same numbers, but what? What was that? Give me a safe number. How many times you eat? 4. Here, the smallest one here is 4. 4, okay. So it's at least 6, but let's say 4. If you eat 4 times a day, the truth is it's usually with snacks and stuff like that. It's usually a little bit higher. But let's say eating. If you eat 4 times a day, and there's 300 days in the year. For 65 days a year, you forget all about this idea. When you eat, you say, God, I'm eating this for you because I can function better if I eat. Because if you don't eat, you don't function as well, right? So you do that, what do you say? 300 days in the year, 4 times a day. That's 1,200 times a year you eat. So at the end of the year, without any change in behavior, you have an extra 1,200 mitzvahs, acts of service of God. That's a big deal. Now, it's not just eating. How about drinking something? In Israel, you have to drink a lot, right? Because it gets very dry and other things. It gets hot, right? Other places also, right? How many times a day do you drink a day? 100. Safely. 6?
Yeah. 6 times a day?
At least. I drink like 15 times a day. Good for you. Okay, good. 3 times a day. Okay, so let's say somewhere in between 5, 6. 5, 6, okay. 6, you want to say 6 times a day? 6 times a day times 300 days is 1,800 times a year you drink. The truth is, even people that drink 3 times a day drink more than that because you wind up drinking a lot on other days, like you're thirsty, you're working, you wind up having much more to drink, you don't realize probably how much you drink. But okay, if you don't, it's a good idea, that's not a story. So that's 18, if you say I'm drinking now because I can serve you better. If I'm stronger, I'm healthier, right, I have more energy, your body is made up mostly of water. If you put liquid in your body, you can function better. If you can function better, you can interact with people better, you can do all the mitzvahs you want to do better, everything is better. You can learn better, everything, right? Good. So now, that's the second one. How about, here's another one. Did you ever go someplace and you go to the beach, you go someplace like that, and there's mud or dirt on your shoes, and you don't want to put your shoes in the car. So you put them in the, where? In the trunk, in the back seat, right? And in the trunk someplace, and you don't keep them on your feet. And then you get out of the car and you pick up your shoes and you walk into the house. When you walk into the house, if it's really hot, or if you have nothing on your feet, how do you walk in there? Yeah. You ever do this? This type of walk, right? Now, why don't you go outside without shoes in general? Because it hurts and you won't be able to function, right? If all the time you're looking down everywhere you go, like I told you, I take a 50-minute walk to here, from my house to here. So imagine I walk for 50 minutes going like this.
It's going to take more than 50 minutes.
Much more than 50 minutes, and you can't focus on anybody else. You can't interact properly with people. So you can wear your shoes l'shem shamayim for God's sake. If you do that, it becomes a mitzvah. Now, how many hours a day do you wear your shoes?
The whole day. Like
Let me ask the question even better. When you go to sleep, do you wear your shoes?
no.
No.
That's already.
Oh, yes. Maybe you like to, okay? But do you ever take them off?
Yes.
Yeah? When your feet are hot, sometimes you take your shoes off, right? So your shoes being on or off are pretty much 24/7. Yeah, they're either on or they're off, right? So, because you can take them off when your feet feel uncomfortable. You can put them on when you want to, like, what do you call it? Like, get yourself ready to go, gear up, and get out for that, So whatever it is, so 24 hours a day, 24 times 300 is 7,200 hours a year. So shoes, you can say my shoes are on or off for 7,200 hours a year. And this is if you forget about it for 2 months. I'm wearing my shoes l'shem shamayim. For God's sake, I can serve you better if I wear my shoes. I can function better. Yeah? Besides the embarrassment, if you just walk through the street, you don't have your shoes on, like, what's with the shoes? Yeah? You function much better, right? Now, here's another one. How about sleeping? Now, everyone doesn't sleep the same number of hours. I think it's fair to say most people sleep at least 5 hours, and if you count the amount of time people sleep on the weekend and stuff like that, Shabbos for sure, the average comes up much higher, right? But easily 5 hours over the 24-hour period. It's usually much more than that. You should sleep way more than that, but let's say fairly. 5 hours times 500 times 300 is 1,500 hours a year. It's much more than that. Now, why do you can sleep l'shem shamayim? You say, God, I function better if I sleep. Okay? Now, some of you are thinking like, Rabbi Altman, what are you talking about? Yeah, I can sleep for God? Yeah, you can. You ever have one of those situations where you stay up studying for tests or whatever you're doing, or you just totally, the next day you can't function, your brain's not working properly, you're definitely not friendly and kind and giving as you would have been if you would have had a good night's sleep. This is service of God, it's not a small thing. But it's a mind mitzvah. You have to think about it. To think. The hardest part is to remember to do it. But it's not a big jump. People often ask me, well, it's not true, I'm not really sleeping for God. I'm sleeping because I'm tired. But if you just make the short mental connection, you say, listen, won't I function better? Won't I be a friendlier, kinder, more giving, caring, loving person if I sleep? For sure. It's not a big jump. Make sense? Now, let's go a little further. How about brushing your teeth? At least twice a day, hopefully, right? Usually more than that, but hopefully let's say twice a day, right? That's 600 mitzvahs a year. But you don't just brush, you use toothpaste. So that's another 600, because it's better if you use toothpaste, or if you don't like to use toothpaste, something else, right? And you use a toothbrush. That's another 600 mitzvahs. And if you floss, which you should, yeah? You come to Neve to hear Rabbi Altman be the mommy, right? Fantastic. By the way, we had all kinds of crazy dental bills with my wife and my kids, like, and myself also, until we started flossing regularly, and the dental bills went right down. Yeah, you can't reach it with the brush. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's a psychological thing. Once you get used to quickly flossing, it's no big deal. Yeah, my kids don't even say brush teeth. They say brush and floss. Brush and floss. It comes together. Brush and floss. They don't, the little kids think it's the same thing. Brush and floss. They don't think it's one, Now, not only that, right? Let's say a few other things. How about showering? right? Once a week, whether you're needed or not, right? Most people shower, hopefully, once a day, right?
Yeah, once a day.
Once a day, right? Americans, non-Americans, a little bit less, whatever it is. But let's say on average, sometimes a little more, right? English, right? Canadians, right? Okay. South Africans. Now, showering, let's say, is once a day. That's another 300 mitzvahs. But you don't just shower. Have you ever had the unpleasant experience of showering when it's freezing water? Yeah?
Oh my gosh, yes.
It happens, right? It's shocking, right? So it's not just showering. It's showering and it's adjusting the temperature of the water. That's another 300. Because that's different. If you just shower but you never adjust the temperature, you can either burn yourself or freeze. Now, I know it sounds kind of silly, but the Mishnah says, Kol Maasecha, all of your actions. You see, we think, let's say you go to somebody that you know, one of the rabbis here in Neve, and you say to them, Rabbi Liff, I'd like you to become my personal trainer. Yeah, we love you dearly, right? But he doesn't necessarily know it. Maybe he does, I have no idea. But he's not necessarily into that. So if I go to Rabbi Liff and I say, Rabbi Liff, I want you to be a personal trainer, and I look the same way I look now, in 3 months from now, no one's surprised. Because that's not his thing. Yeah, it's not his thing. Now, if I go, however, to the United States or the Canadian or the South African or the English, whatever you want, Olympic team trainer, and I say, you train me for 3 months, and I listen to what he or she has to say, what's going to happen? I'll be in great shape, right? Because a trainer, a big-time trainer, maxes out on the training. Not a little bit of like, okay, well, you should cut down on your carbs a little bit and try to exercise at least for 5 minutes a day. They're going to tell you exactly what to do. They're going to push you, right? Make sure you get enough sleep and you exercise and the mental game is going well and you're going to maximize on it, right? So God is the trainer. He doesn't send us to this world and say, look, you have to eat and sleep and drink. You have to go to work, you have to take care of your house and things like that, and your kids and your family. And when you have extra time, you can slip in some service of God. No, no, no. He's going to max out on the training. So every moment really can become an act of service of God. Now, I left something out, by the way. We're going to come back to this in a second. But, you know, eating, right? So sometimes even eating yummy food can be that way. A piece of cake.
Because you're enjoying it.
Yeah, because let's say they say, listen, ladies, Rosh Hashanah is now in a few days. A week from tonight is Rosh Hashanah. It's extremely important that we don't waste any of our resources. We must get away from the drives of the physical world and become more spiritual. Now that's true. Therefore, we're not serving anything with any sugar in it, nothing sweet, and if you're caught doing anything at all like eating cookies, even yogurt with sweetening in it, you're thrown out of Neve. What would you say? Bye-bye. I'd say that, like, nothing? Not even sweet drinks, nothing? No sugar in your tea, in your coffee, sorry. Yeah? We're separating from it. You'd crack, it's not shayach, right? It's not possible. Now, so people say, listen, you know, maybe two. So there is a limit on these things. If you have 4 pieces of cake, maybe, you know, the 17th piece of cake is definitely not for the sake of God. Yeah? Yeah, I need to just relax a little bit more, okay? Well, you must be really relaxed. You relaxed for 6 months after this, right? You get the idea. At a certain point, it becomes too much. But the first couple of pieces easily can be. Okay, now, let's go further. So you get in a shower, you adjust the temperature. Yeah, so shower means water, temperature. Water temperature also, that's 600 mitzvahs. Then you use stuff like soap, right? That's another 300. And shampoo. Now, growing up, I have one brother, no sisters. Yeah? So at a certain point, my brother said to me, you know, I think maybe mom does some of the things that she does because she's a girl, not just because she's her personality. I'm like, you think? Never, didn't occur to me. Anyway, listen to this. So, Baruch Hashem now, I have a bunch of daughters, believe it or not, very happy about that, right? So, besides shampoo, in the world of girls, conditioner. Now, that's not really much of my reality. You can picture why. Conditioner's not so important to me, you can imagine why. Anyway, but you get the idea, right? So, conditioner. What else? Did you ever have the unfortunate experience of having to take a shower someplace where the door doesn't lock properly?
Yeah.
You feel you cannot relax. You can't wait to get out of there. It's like, oh, I'm done. It's over. Right? You have no privacy, right? So you go into the bathroom. You can lock the door also. L'shem Shemayim. I know it sounds silly. It sounds silly, but it's not silly. So they'll lock the door. Right? Now, the other thing is, if you ever had an unfortunate experience of not having the ability to use anything, like you step out of the shower and you have nothing to put your feet on, or maybe you're afraid the floor is dirty, who knows, whatever. So anything you do at all to make it a little bit easier for you emotionally or physically makes it better. Okay? Now, here's another one. Sleep. Let's double this up a little bit more. Sleep. All of you, of course, sleep on the floor, right? Obviously, right? Where do you sleep?
How did you know?
I knew, I could tell. I got that perfect posture, you guys.
on the better mattresses.
Yeah? Bedroom mattress, there you go, right? Well, only one night, though. There was only one night, right?
No, it's every night that we sleep here.
Ah, yeah. Bedroom mattresses, very good. Beautiful. Yeah. It's that communal feeling. Yeah. Now, when you go to sleep, there's a bunch of things you do to make the sleep better. Number one is you use a pillow, right? Because if you don't use a pillow, it's harder to sleep. So that's another 1,500 hours just for your pillow a year. But you don't just use a pillow, you use a pillowcase. 1,500. And did you ever have a situation where it's really, really hot and you can't sleep with the blanket, but you can't sleep without the blanket because you need that cozy feeling? You know what I'm talking about? Right? So the blanket also, use a blanket, or if you use a blankie, I won't tell anybody, but your blanket, right? Blanket's another 1,500. Now, the choice of the blanket also includes there, but we won't overdo this, right? How about a mattress?
Sheets.
Yes, we'll get to that. Mattress, 1,500. Sheets, that's another 1,500 hours. Now, it sounds funny. Did you ever sleep on a mattress without a sheet? It's uncomfortable. You can't just turn over nice and easily. You kind of like stick to the mattress. You have to lift yourself up, you know what I mean? You fall off the side, right? It sounds silly, but if you're used to it, it's much more comfortable to sleep with a sheet on the mattress, right? Well, Rabbi Altman, you're a big tzaddik. You need a sheet on your mattress. And you get the idea. Now, that's a bunch of things here. Now, not only that, it's also you adjust the lights. You turn the light off. Or if you're one of these people who like the lights on, you turn the light on, whatever you want, right? And you adjust. Now let's leave the lights for a second, because the truth is that lights really is all day long. When you go into a room and it's dark, you put the light on. When you leave, you turn the light off, right? You adjust the lights. At night, if it's too bright, you turn it down. If it's too dark, you turn it up. So lights, pretty much, you're conscious of what the light situation is throughout the day. You're not always in control of the lights because we're in a room with other people and they don't want it that way, right? But very often the lights up or down is a pretty normal thing. So let's say at least that's, I don't know, how many times a day you adjust the lights? Easily 5 times a day? Easy 5 times a day. So lights, let's put the lights over here. Light adjustment. 5 times a day is 1,500 times a year. I'm adjusting the light l'shem shamayim. I go to bed better if it's darker. Yeah? Good. Here's another one. How about work? Why do you go to work? Because you need money to live. You want to eat, stuff like, I don't want to sleep in the parking lot. Right? Makes sense. So you go to work. Now, will you function better if you have a place to sleep and have food and stuff like that? Yes. So assuming at some point you do something to serve God during the day, including positive interactions with people, right? Then going to work can be l'shem shamayim. How many hours a day do you spend working on average? Again, it depends on the person, right, and the job, but fair to say 8 hours a day? Yes. Easy 8 hours a day times 300 is 2,400 hours a year. It's much more than that very often, but just because of work. Now, here's another one. Imagine you're careful to not eat meat and milk together, and you wait between eating meat and eating milk. So now you're waiting for a long time to finally eat milk. And you're waiting for that ice cream in the fridge, right? Yeah. The ice cream, the time has come. So now you put your hand on the freezer door, you open it up, and you look inside, and there it is. There, it's there, in your favorite flavor. Put your hand on it, put your hand on it. And the worst thing happens. As soon as you pick it up, it goes up way too high, way too quickly. No. Yeah? Some cruel soul in your household left 1 spoonful of ice cream in there. No. Yeah? At this point, you realize this is going to be the atonement of all of my sins, right? This suffering is going to be so nasty, right? So what do? Your mind doesn't give up because you're resourceful, because you want that ice cream. So your mind says, quick, and all of a sudden with incredible computer-fast knowledge and speed, your brain scans a 5-mile radius every 24-hour place that's open that might have that ice cream. Yeah? Ding, 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 ding. Yeah? You have 17 results, right? Now you go, what do? You run out the front door and you run to the nearest place, right? Yes. Could be. You run to the nearest place? How do you run, with your feet?
With my shoes.
You get in the car. You get in the car as quickly as possible. Well, it's about 3.6 miles from here. If I get started now, I'll probably get there in less than 2 hours. About an hour and a half, whatever. Depending on how bad you want the ice cream, right? Could be in an hour. An hour. Could be, you do 4 miles an hour. That's not crazy, right? So now, you get in the car. Why?
It's faster.
Faster, less energy. Yeah, more efficient, save time. So when you drive or you take any type of vehicle whatsoever, you can do it l'shem shamayim. You can do it for the sake of God. Say, God, when I walk over here, but I take a bus back, I don't have time to walk both directions. I don't have energy to walk both directions. I don't want to do that. Yeah, I spend 100 minutes a day walking. No, thank you. It's too much. Yeah. It would have been great when I was 16, but not now. No, no, no. Rabbi Altman, you're supposed to have a shiur today? Wake up. Oh, sorry. Too much walking, yeah? Yeah, now. So taking a vehicle, how long does that take? How many hours a day does a person spend? Again, it depends on what you're doing, what your job is, and where you live, and what your life's like. But how many hours a day do you spend in a vehicle in some form or another?
2 hours.
Let's say it's 2 hours. Sometimes it's very often more than that. Commuting back and forth to work, and you're taking kids places. I mean, it's tons of time, right? So 2 hours a day times 300 is 600 hours a year. Now, it's not just that. When you get into the car or your house, do you ever adjust the temperature? Yeah, again, it's so hot. Quick air conditioning. You turn it all the way down as like this, as lowest there is, even though that doesn't do anything, right? Right? Or you get in the car, you open up the door, and you could see the heat coming out, right? Why do you put the air conditioning on when you get in the car? Because you don't, yeah, right? Dying definitely gets in the way of service of God. Definitely true, right? You don't want to evaporate by the time you get there, right? Sorry, all this is all left of her. She's dust. Chas v'shalom. Now. So temperature, how many times a day you adjust the temperature in your house or your life? Open the fan, put the fan on, open the window, close the window. I'd say at least 10 times, something like that. 10 times a day times 300 days is 3,000 times a year. Now, here's another one. We're writing stuff down. Anytime you record anything, write it down, you make a note on your phone, right? Right? Any of those things, right? When you record something, that's because it's much easier to function if you write it down. You remember everyone's phone number? Everyone's email? Some people's emails you know, but most people you don't know. Right? So writing down or some type of I don't know, that's a couple of times a day at least. Some kind of writing and recording. How many times a day? At least twice, 3 times a day you write down something? Yeah, it could be many times. If you're working on things like that, it could be tons of times depending on what you're doing, right? You're taking notes, for sure that's the case, right? So some type of writing or the equivalent, let's say 3 times a day on average, that's 900 times a year. Now here's another interesting thing. I like this one. This is very easy. Excuse me for saying this, but why do you wear clothes?
To not be naked.
Right? Exactly right. To not be naked, right? Well said. Now, because you'd be embarrassed, yeah? You go someplace and unfortunately, whatever, it happens sometimes that people don't have clothing, whatever it happens. I went someplace once and I went to visit my friends and it was a certain place right before Shabbos. I went to take a shower and they took my clothes. Terrible thing. It was a terrible thing, yeah? So I had to wait there until they eventually returned my clothes, obviously. All right.
Wait,
So
they took it as a prank?
it was a joke, yeah, it was a joke, yeah. Terrible. Rabbi Altman, yeah? Perfect, yeah? Welcome to Hidabrut. Anyway, now, so here's the idea. You can function better because you wear clothes, right? Now, it's true that your clothes also protect you. When you walk out someplace, you don't have to worry about scratching yourself. Scratching, hard words get me, yeah? Scratching yourself, scratching. English is my first language, thank you, yes? Right? So clothing. How many, now, not just that, but when you go to sleep, you change clothes too, right? You don't just wear the same clothes all day long because you're more comfortable sleeping in pajamas or something like that, right? Person takes a shower, they remove their clothes. Always like that. So clothing is basically 24/7, either on or off for the type of clothing that you're wearing, right? So that's 24/7. So clothing also is 7,200 hours a year. Now, people say, Rabbi Altman, you're exaggerating. It's a Mishnah. This is part of the Talmud. And it makes sense in logic that God's going to say, I want to max out on your training. Now, the other reason why this is so important is that really what we're doing when we're alive is that we're training our minds. Doing the right action trains your mind. If your mind is in the right place, then that's really where you are. I'm saying your mind means together with your heart. It means your emotions as well, right? If you keep thinking something again and again and again, you internalize an idea. It becomes part of who you are. Doing this, living a life like this, means you're thinking about God all day long. That's a totally different level of existence than, well, yeah, when I get a chance, yeah? I'm sure when you all get married, those of you that are not yet married, right, will love it if your husband was thinking about you all the time. You don't want to sometimes he thinks about me, sometimes he doesn't think, what? What? No, not weird. You want him to carry you around in your heart. In his heart, you want that. Don't you want him to carry you around all the time? Part of his heart always occupied with thoughts or feelings of you. You don't want that? No, it's a good thing. He's not obsessed with you. He's just thinking about you, yeah?
He's like, come on, I do that too.
Look, can I tell you something? Every mother does that with their children.
Kidding, it's actually-
Every mother does it with their children. Every mother is constantly walking around with a very strong awareness where the child is, like my child's there somewhere or here, or there's always like that feeling of the child, the awareness of her existence. What? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just say yes, yeah? Yes, Rabbi Altman, yes. Now, good. Clothing. 24/7, that's 7,200 hours a year. Now, when you get in, there's a lot more things here to talk about. I'll do one last thing I'll talk about really quickly, yeah? Let's say you want to go to a pizza place or a restaurant, right? Or you want to go to the post office. Whatever it is, people don't go to the post office anymore. People pick up packages, right? They go for that reason, right? Packages, right? So you want to go to the post office, and you want to know what time it's open. So what do? You get in your car, you drive down there, and you look at the sign?
No, I don't know.
You look online, right? You Google it, right? Wonderful, right? Or those of people that's, no one actually bings it, right? Or anything like that. You know. Anyway, so listen to this, right? So why do you do that? Why do you look online? Saves time, energy, and money, right? I don't have to spend a half hour getting in the car, driving down the place, see when it's open. Now, when you communicate with somebody on the phone, online, text, smoke signals, whatever you want, right? Whatever works for you, right? And you use one of these type of like phone or anything like that, you save time, energy, and money. You can do that l'shem shamayim. You call up your friend and say, listen, I'm going to be 15 minutes late, or you text them, I'll be 15 minutes late. That saves time, energy, and money. We have more resources available to serve God if you do that. That's an incredible thing. How many times a day do you have some kind of back and forth with information in that way? Text, phone, how many times a day? Fairly safe, totally safe. Minimum. At least 10? At least 10. It's very often way more than that. Texting or phone calls, I mean, I do more than that. I don't even have it. My phone doesn't even text. How do you like that? You know what I'm saying? Email for sure. Yeah? Now watch this. So let's say I don't even know how to write that. So let's say phone calls, phone or email or text, right, is 10 times a day. That's 3,000 times a year.
That's more.
It's much more than that. You say, now, it doesn't work for things like, okay, we're planning on knocking off the liquor store tonight. Like, you know, it doesn't, that doesn't count, right? Yeah? Please meet me for the local idol worship. You know, that doesn't work, right? But you get, right? But everything else does. If it's not for an open sin, then everything else works fine, beautifully, right? So just even information. And certainly all these things we're talking about also applies for mitzvahs. If you're doing something that's an open mitzvah, like you're lighting Shabbos candles, or you're giving charity, those are open mitzvahs, that's for sure the case. Okay? Now, there's a lot more to talk about over here. Here's what I just want to tell you. I would suggest two things. There's so many things, there's many more: wearing glasses, fixing your glasses when they're broken, right? Whatever the case may be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Contacts, socks, yeah. There's many, many things. Spending time with your friends, that also l'shem shamayim, yeah? Listening to music, relaxed time, exercise, all of those things you do. Cleaning your house, cleaning your car, all those things can be tons and tons of things like that. Now, this can be a little bit overwhelming. So just pick one or two things. I like, personally, clothing or shoes. Shoes are easy because your shoes are on or off 24/7. Yeah? It's easy. Especially walking around, you move around. Shoes are wonderful. Yeah? Now, I suggest one or two things like that. Once you get used to throughout the day, think, oh yeah, I'm wearing my shoes l'shem shamayim. I'm wearing them because I can serve God better, right? It becomes an island. It becomes a habit in your actions, and then after that, you can start adding other things. Eating is wonderful also, but you don't eat as much as you wear shoes. Believe it or not, right? Sleep is fantastic. I know, right? Yeah? When I sleep, I go through a checklist. I go through this checklist when I sleep at night, right? We didn't go through the whole thing. There's pillows, there's blankets, mattress, sheets. There's laying down. We didn't talk about that, right? When you do something, I'm standing up now because it's easy for me to teach when I stand up. But when you drive, I don't stand up. I sit down. When you go to sleep, you lay down. Body position also. Put your body in a position. Now listen, pick one thing. That's one thing. The other thing I tell you is don't tell too many people about this because they're going to think that you're crazy.
I already do.
You already do. Good, that's fine. I told you you wouldn't believe me, right? Now, first get used to it. After you're nice and strong, then you want to tell people about it. I'd say it's no problem at all. Again, this is not a secret. It's an open Mishnah. People know about this idea. If you quote this source to people of let all your deeds be l'shem shamayim, people, oh yeah, I know that. It's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. They'll tell you that. In Pirkei Avot, they'll tell you that. The ethics of the fathers, no problem. Yeah? Now, the other thing I tell you is if you can, please, if you can, pick somebody else in this class or someone else that does this and remind each other. Because it's all wonderful now. Yeah? But you tend to forget about it in a week, 2 weeks, 5 weeks. Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, L'Shem Shemayim. Right, yeah, right. You forget. Right? Every time I teach this class, it reminds me, oh, yeah. So try to remember if you can. One last thing. A person who comes into the world to come, the next world, and they're looking at her mitzvahs, and she's coming in together with her best friend, who is basically on the same spiritual level. It looked like that. They're basically on the same spiritual level, right? And the friend's looking at her mitzvahs, and she's looking at her friend's mitzvahs, and she, because she's doing things l'shem shemayim, has literally gazillions more mitzvahs than her friend does. Acts of service of God or hours of service of God. And her friend looks at her and says, wow, how'd you do that? And she says, well, Rabbi Altman's l'shem shemayim shir. And she's like, what's that? And you say, I'm so sorry you didn't know about it. Yeah? Okay, it sounds like a joke. It sounds funny. Rosh Hashanah, where we're judged every year, is in a week. Just a week of this is powerful. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, one last thing. People tend to be very discouraged in life because they feel like they're not accomplishing as much as they'd like to accomplish. What did I really do, right? If you do this on a regular basis, you're going to leave a trail of beautiful accomplishments behind you that even if everything else doesn't go well, you have this solid core of, wow, look what I did today. Yeah? I injected spirituality and I loftiness into all the actions that I did, even the mundane ones. So it's hard to get depressed when you realize what you're accomplishing, especially if you do it for a couple of days or even a week or even a month or even a year. Okay? All the best, ladies. Great to see you. Everyone should have a good year this year and every year, Bez Hashem.